least a motive.
So we have criminal defense attorney Josh Kolsrud here this morning to talk more about what this case looks like for federal prosecutors. We always appreciate your insight, so thank you for being here, first of all. How challenging of a case do you think this will be for prosecutors?
You know, arson, as it's charged in federal court, is always difficult, and I'll tell you why. The prosecutors must prove that the individual in this case lit the fire with malicious intent. So it's not just that he knew that he was lighting a fire, but that he did so to cause major destruction. Now, there's also another issue, and that is, you know, fires naturally burn evidence. And I have firsthand knowledge in this. I was one of the prosecutors assigned to the slide fire case in Sedona in 2014 that burned 22,000 acres. And what we found there was that the fire was so hot that it burned almost all the evidence with point of origin, with fire science, including the patterns that fires burn, the soil, and it was very difficult to prove. So here in the federal case against Jonathan, I forgot what his last name is, the fire science is going to be on trial. And there's always room for error on a lot of these different tests. And if any of them are off, defense attorneys are going to be able to say that it was an accident, or it was just negligence, or that, you know, he really didn't intend to cause all of this harm. So it's not as easy as a case as it may seem.
You know, but there is just a mountain of evidence. I mean, he was there, he called 911, he sat there and watched the firefighters, and then they found what I thought was truly remarkable, ChatGPT pictures that he had made of the city burning, which is the first I've ever heard of them having AI evidence. You think that is going to be something that's going to happen more and more down the road?
That's huge. And that evidence that you just talked about goes towards motive. So when we were talking about malicious intent, prosecutors are going to use that evidence to show what his motive was in this case. And also, interestingly enough, 30 seconds after the fire was lit, he queried ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT whether or not he could be prosecuted if he started the fire by a cigarette. And ATF said that they thought that was intentional, that he was trying to cover his tracks. Like, what reasonable person would actually ask that 30 seconds after they see a fire?
Right. Interesting. So obviously this is a huge case. The media has been focused on this. So many people were impacted, and so many people lost their livelihoods. We know 12 people were killed. How is the media coverage and the public perception and pressure going to play into this?
Well, with all huge cases, a prosecutor worries about unfairly prejudicing a potential jury. The reason why is, if they get a conviction, there's an appeal that's possible from a defense perspective, saying, you know, there wasn't a fair trial, that my client didn't get due process because the jury was already tainted. So the prosecutors have to be really careful with how they present the evidence to the public right now. So once a person is charged in a case, prosecutors are not supposed to prosecute and argue their cases in the media. So I think that now, once the arraignment starts, which I think is going to be around Monday or Tuesday, I really think that the prosecution is going to be pretty tight-lipped.
Well, they sure presented a lot yesterday to the public. That was interesting. But Josh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
It was so interesting talking to you.